God, it makes me horny.
Yeah, baby.
To tell you I told you so.
I told you.
I predicted the Canelo Crawford fight like a goddamn fortune teller.
You're the Oracle?
Canelo's feet were cemented on the canvas as he was hitting air. Fuck was that? Props to Crawford.
Thank you.
He came up 3 weight classes and fought a beautiful fight.
Good job.
What a great performance.
Did you get what you was looking for?
Like taking candy from a baby.
My candy.
He just played with Canelo, made him look silly. And before you start with your shit about Canelo being old, just know that Crawford is older.
I'm too old.
That's not an excuse here. Look, I promoted Canelo's entire career,
Put some respect on it.
and it was a huge flop.
How do you like them apps?
The only real fighters he's faced were Mayweather, Bivol, and Crawford, and they all toyed with him. Even Mayweather knew Crawford was going to school him.
Thank you.
He put $50,000 on Crawford to win. And as far as the undercard, Jesus Christmas, I feel bad for Turkey, wasting all that money. You have to fire your matchmakers, Turkey.
You're fired.
It was the biggest fight of the decade, and your matchmakers, not you, your matchmakers
What are those guys?
put on that undercard? You paid all that money and had the biggest stage in boxing on Netflix, and that is really the best they could.
If you were at 168, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
Right not now. It's at 175, yeah.
he probably can't even make 168. You know, me personally, I believe in my skills and my ability. I can be.
Terence Crawford recently spoke about the possibility of facing David Benavidez following his dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez. Meanwhile, promoter Eddie Hearn suggested that a showdown between Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis would be the most exciting fight in American boxing today. According to Hearn, the challenge wouldn't be about skill alone. It would also take a massive payday to entice Crawford, given how dangerous Ennis is. Not because Crawford doubts his ability, but because he recognizes it would be a true test. In Hearn's eyes, Ennis is the modern version of Crawford. A rising star who only needs the right fights to showcase his full greatness.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots.
Jeff Mayweather added that David Benavidez is one of the few fighters everyone tries to avoid, and that avoidance only raises his stock in boxing. He explained that if the right financial deal is offered, the matchup could happen, since no promoter could claim it's unaffordable. It would simply depend on whether Crawford wants that challenge. At the same time, Jeff pointed out that from Canelo's perspective, the smartest step after his loss would be to push for a rematch, as it's the only path to rebuilding his reputation and answering the doubts created by Crawford's dominant performance.
If you were at 168, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look.
Right not now. It's at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168. When you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, you know, say, all right, you know, how big is this dude really is? Because David Benavidez, he can fight his ass off. You know, me personally, I believe in my skills and my ability. I could be any.
However, Terence Crawford was asked about the possibility of facing David Benavidez at 168, and he admitted that Benavidez is a very big fighter who might not even be able to make that weight anymore, since he looks more like a natural 175-pounder. Crawford said that when looking at potential fights, people have to be realistic about the size difference, and Benavidez is definitely a strong and skilled opponent. Still, Crawford made it clear that he believes in his own skills and abilities, and he feels confident that he could beat anyone put in front of him.
Heard Bomac that he does not want Crawford to fight David Benavidez. So right now, you know, I believe that we have a tough fight, man. November 22nd. I don't want to get ahead of my fight, and you know, we're super focused 100% on getting to Riyadh and making that fight happen and keep proving ourselves. and show the people who David is. Let's see what happens after that. Like I said, I will tell you though that it will be easy because, we'll be fighting. If everything goes well, we'll take a couple of weeks off, and the weight will not be a problem because we will already there, kind of. So, at the end of the day, it's my job as a manager is to get them the best fights and train them as a trainer. And we want to make history, brother. So, and if the people want that fight, and people think that that's a good fight, and if Bomac and Terence Crawford want that fight, why not? We're here to please the...
Furthermore, Jose Benavidez Sr., David's father and trainer, discussed the idea of Terence Crawford facing his son and revealed that Brian Bomac McIntyre, Crawford's coach, doesn't want that fight to take place. He emphasized that their current focus is entirely on David's tough matchup scheduled for November 22nd in Riyadh, and they're not looking past it. According to him, the plan is simple: win that fight, take a short break, and then be prepared for whatever comes next since David's weight will already be under control. As both manager and trainer, Jose made it clear his mission is to secure the biggest fights and guide David toward making history. And if Crawford's team truly wants the matchup, they would gladly accept because in the end, their priority is to deliver the fights fans are demanding.
I think David's too big for Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford will be like 38 years old, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and puts the pressure. And no disrespect to Terence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Mexican monster, David's young, strong, super big for Terence Crawford. And even Terence Crawford said that Kavalaskis or whatever hit harder than Canelo because the power's not there anymore. With David, it's a different...
At the same time, Jose emphasized that a showdown between his son and Terence Crawford would be far from easy for the former undisputed champion. He described David as the Mexican monster and highlighted that, unlike Canelo Alvarez, David is younger, bigger, and applies non-stop pressure with a high output of punches. While acknowledging Crawford as the pound-for-pound best who has already secured his place in history by achieving what no one else has, Jose insisted that size and style can't be ignored. He reminded that Crawford himself once admitted Egidijus Kavaliauskas hit harder than Canelo, which shows Canelo's power is no longer the same. Against David, he warned, it would be a completely different challenge, as Benavidez's size, strength, and pressure could overwhelm Crawford, especially as Crawford continues to get older.
Hear me out here, Kamaru. Terence Crawford versus the Mexican monster, David Benavidez.
I knew it was coming.
He was the mandatory for Canelo.
Oh my God. Relax.
What's up? The scariest guy in the division.
He's not in the division.
He said he could still make 168 pounds. The reason why he went up is nobody wants to fight him.
That's a big dude. And to be honest, Terence Crawford's 37 years old.
It's about merit. Could I get to the generational talent, as he said, with Manny Pacquiao? He's an 8-division world champ.
If it ain't no big name, Terence, do what you do, bro.
MMA fighters Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman shared their thoughts on the possibility of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez. Usman labeled Benavidez the most dangerous man in the division, pointing out that at 37 years old, Crawford would be conceding too much size and strength to a naturally bigger, younger, pressure-heavy opponent. Cejudo echoed the sentiment, adding that the only reason Benavidez hasn't already landed the Canelo fight is because no one is eager to face him, proof of how dangerous he is. Although both praised Crawford as a once-in-a-generation talent comparable to Manny Pacquiao, they agreed the physical disadvantage makes Benavidez an especially risky matchup at this point in Crawford's career.
I don't think it would be any different. Canelo said it himself, he couldn't figure it out. It was just, like I said, Crawford fought a perfect fight. I think both sides could make some adjustments, but I think
Meanwhile, Virgil Ortiz gave his take on a possible rematch between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, stating that he doesn't think the fight would unfold any differently. He noted that even Canelo admitted he couldn't figure Crawford out, and from Ortiz's view, Crawford delivered a flawless performance the first time. Although he acknowledged that both men could make adjustments in a second meeting, Ortiz ultimately believes the result would stay the same. with Crawford once again emerging victorious.
Much as he was before for Terence, after that virtuoso performance, I would love for him to retire and enjoy his family. I don't think he can do anything else that's going to top this.
Right off into the sunset. And,
yeah, man. Listen, he fought a great fight. No, there's nobody out there that can give him that kind of step up for his legacy. His legacy is cemented. Who's gonna give him that kind of going out like he did last night? You know, in front of 70,000 people, he fought a virtuoso fight.
Crazy.
Moreover, Abel Sanchez applauded Terence Crawford's brilliant performance, saying it was so complete that he'd like to see Crawford retire on that high note and spend more time with his family. He explained that nothing Crawford does moving forward could surpass what he accomplished in that fight, calling it the perfect sunset moment. Sanchez also stressed that Crawford's legacy is already secure, and there's no one left who can truly add to it, especially after delivering such a flawless display in front of 70,000 fans.
You were to not fight again, you'd be undefeated at 42-0. Would that satisfy you?
If that was the decision that I made, that my team made, for me to walk away, away from the sport, then of course I'd be, content and happy because that's the decision that I made. I'm not gonna make something, that I'm not comfortable with. I had a great career. I've done some tremendous things in the sport of boxing. I made a lot of history. What can I not be proud of if I walked away from the sport right now? I don't have no regrets because everything that I did it my way. So if I was to walk away from the sport right now, I wouldn't have no reason to hold.
However, Terence Crawford said that if he chose to retire undefeated at 42-0, he would be fully satisfied because it would be a decision made alongside his team. He explained that he has already built a remarkable career, achieved incredible milestones, and secured his place in boxing history, leaving him with no regrets. Crawford emphasized that everything he accomplished was on his own terms, and if he stepped away now, he would do so proudly, knowing he left the sport with nothing unfinished.
I'd like to see him just get some rest, man. Spend some time with his family. Holidays is coming up. Maybe do a little traveling and then get back in the gym and then assess where he at after that.
So he wants to fight again?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think that's good to hear because some people, Shakur said he doesn't want to see him fight.
Well, that's Shakur. How fighters be like, okay, you accomplished everything, but, he's a damn good fighter. I love working with him. But if he say, let's go 2 or 3 more times, let's go 2 or 3 more times.
Furthermore, Brian Bomac McIntyre, Terence Crawford's longtime trainer, said he wants Crawford to take some rest, enjoy the holidays with his family, maybe travel a bit, and then return to the gym to reevaluate. He confirmed that Crawford does plan to fight again. And while some, like Shakur Stevenson, feel Crawford has already done it all and doesn't need to continue, Bomac made it clear he loves working with him and will fully support whatever decision Crawford makes. If Crawford chooses to go 2 or 3 more times, Bomac said he's all in and ready to prepare him for those fights.
Terence Crawford dominated that fight so much, and I know it was a little bit nip-tuck at times, but when you look at the art of pugilism and the skill set that came from Terence Crawford and the way he dismantled, dissected and beat him at his own game towards the end, took Canelo on and beat him at his own game, Terence Crawford it was an easy night's work for him, dare I say, an easy night's work against Canelo Alvarez. And I don't want to rain on this parade, but Canelo is definitely past his best. I don't think it would have mattered because Crawford was that good. 38 years old. How does he do it? He's on the Cobra juice. Whatever the Cobra's taking, he's like a youth. What he's just done is unbelievable. And I'd actually like to see him.
On the other hand, Carl Froch praised Terence Crawford's performance against Canelo Alvarez, noting that while there were some competitive moments, Crawford's skill and boxing IQ allowed him to outthink and dismantle Canelo, even beating him at his own style in the later rounds. Froch admired how Crawford, at 38, still performs at such an elite level, joking that whatever keeps him sharp must be working and calling the achievement truly unbelievable.
What? Quick reaction to that. What did you make of the performance of Terence Crawford?
He boxed a beautiful performance, a beautiful night, kind of like I thought it would be. Took a page out of Eric Sunday Law's book and made it work for himself.
Would you like to see Canelo retire after that?
I said what Canelo wanted to do. Canelo been carrying boxing for the last 15 years. He deserves to do anything he wanted to do.
Terence Crawford's 37. Devin Haney said he thinks he would like him to retire. Do you agree with that statement?
He can do whatever he wants to do. He's been dominating for a long time too, so he can do whatever he wants to do. I would like to see him retire because it'd be hard for anybody to top that, and they definitely put him on the top 5 list, and he'd be able to stay there because he hasn't been beat.
Last question. Is Terence Crawford the greatest of all time?
Absolutely the greatest of all time.
Where does he rank?
I don't know, but he's not the greatest of all time. Absolutely greatest.